The silence of deep space surrounded Alara Voss as she floated through the bridge of her damaged research ship. The lights flickered, casting strange shadows across the alien equipment. She was the last one awake. The rest of her Aloran crew slept in their emergency pods, their blue skin hidden behind frosted glass as the life support system struggled to keep them alive. Alara moved her six-fingered hand across the main control panel. The ship computer showed critical damage to the engines and hull. The Reckon attack had been swift and brutal. Her people, the Alorans, were scientists and explorers, not warriors. They had no defense against the Reckon weapons. System status. Report, Alara said, her voice quiet in the empty bridge. The computer's voice crackled through damaged speakers. Life support at 28% capacity. Hull integrity at 43%. Engine function at 12%. Communication. Systems at 17%. Alara closed her large, dark eyes. The situation was worse than yesterday. All systems were failing faster than she could repair them. Her slender body felt heavy with exhaustion and fear. Distance to nearest Aloran outpost? She asked, though she already knew the answer. 8,412 light-years to nearest friendly territory. Too far. Much too far. The Alorans had sent their best scientists to study ancient ruins in this uncharted section of space. They had known it was dangerous, but the knowledge they might gain had seemed worth the risk. Now Alara wondered if any discovery could be worth the lives of her 15 crew members. She pushed away from the control panel and floated toward the observation window. Stars stretched infinitely in every direction. Somewhere out there, the Frecken ships that had attacked them were probably still searching, making sure no Elleran survived to report what they had found in the ruins. The ancient technology they had discovered was too powerful. The Frecken wanted it for themselves. They had always been aggressive, taking what they wanted from weaker species. The Alorans had simply been in their way. Alara moved back to the control panel. She had one option, left one that probably wouldn't work. The quantum distress beacon could send a signal instantly across vast distances, but there was almost no chance anyone would hear it this far from civilized space. Even if they did, who would come? The Alorans had few allies with ships strong enough to face the Frecken. Still, she had to try. Computer, prepare quantum distress beacon, she said. Warning. Activating quantum distress beacon will drain 30% of remaining power reserves. Understood. Proceed. The computer beeped as it prepared the beacon. Alara recorded a short message explaining their situation, who they were and why they needed help. She didn't mention the ruins or the technology they had found. That information was too dangerous. Beacon ready, the computer announced. Alara took a deep breath. Activate. A soft hum filled the bridge as the distress call shot into space, traveling instantly through quantum space to cover thousands of light-years in all directions. The lights dimmed as the ship diverted power to the beacon. Message sent. The computer confirmed, repeating signal every 4 hours until power reserves reach critical levels. Now all Alara could do was wait and hope. She made her way to the crew quarters where her team slept in their pods. She checked each one, making sure they were stable. The computer had put them into deep sleep to conserve oxygen and food. Only, Alara remained awake to manage the ship. She touched the glass of the pod containing Merrick, the expedition leader. His face looked peaceful, unaware of their desperate situation. Alara had always respected him. He was brilliant and kind, always, thinking of his crew first. Now their lives were in her hands. Back on the bridge, Alara began shutting down non-essential systems to save power. The temperature dropped as heating was reduced to minimum levels. She put on a thermal suit and continued working. Days passed. Then weeks. No response came to her distress call. The ship's condition worsened. A small meteor shower caused further damage to the hull. Alara spent hours in a spacesuit, making repairs with their dwindling supplies. After a month, she knew. She had to make a difficult choice. The life support system could no longer sustain her and keep the crew alive in their pods. She would need to enter cryosleep herself. Computer, prepare cryopod for emergency suspension, she ordered. Warning, with no conscious crew members, Ship functions will be limited to automated systems only. I understand. Proceed. Alara recorded one final message in the ship's log. This is Alara Voss of the Aloran research vessel Starlight Seeker. If anyone finds this ship, please help my crew. They are innocent scientists. We mean no harm to anyone. We only sought knowledge. She paused, then added, If no help comes, and this is our end, let it be known we died in the pursuit of understanding. May whoever finds us learn from our journey. She made her way to the empty cryopod beside her crew. The computer would wake her if someone responded to the distress call, or if the ship's condition became critical. Otherwise, she would sleep until the power ran out and then... Alara pushed the thought away. She had done everything possible. As the cryopod closed around her, Alara gazed at the small viewport showing the stars outside. The distress beacon continued its silent call into the darkness of space. The chances of anyone hearing it, anyone caring enough to investigate, were almost zero. But almost zero wasn't the same as zero. That tiny chance was enough for Alara to close her eyes and let the cold sleep take her. Unknown to Alara, her signal traveled farther than she imagined possible. At the edge of human space, aboard the newly commissioned warship USS Defiant, a communications officer named Sam Kelly noticed an unusual reading on his console. "Captain," he called out, "I'm picking up some kind of distress signal. It's not using any standard frequency." Captain Alan Russell moved from his command chair to look at the reading. "Can you determine the source?" Kelly shook his head. "It's coming from deep space, well beyond our normal patrol routes. I've never seen this signal pattern before." First Officer Maria Diaz joined them. "Could be a trap," she suggested. "We haven't mapped that sector yet." Captain Russell studied the signal pattern. During his 20 years in the Earth Fleet, he had developed strong instincts. Something about this signal felt genuine. Humanity had only been traveling the stars for 60 years. They had met few other species, some friendly, some not. Their policy was clear: proceed with caution, but never ignore a call for help. "Plot a course to the signal origin," Russell ordered, "and alert command of our intentions." "Sir, that's at least 2 weeks' travel at maximum speed," Lieutenant Ben Miller said from the navigation station. "And we'd be leaving our assigned patrol area." Russell nodded. "I'm aware, Lieutenant, but someone out there needs help. The Defiant is the closest ship. We answer the call." As the Defiant changed course, heading into unknown space, the distress beacon continued its regular pulse from Alara's dying ship. Help was coming, though neither human nor Eloran yet understood how this meeting would change the course of galactic history. The USS Defiant moved through space at maximum speed for 13 days. The crew worked in shifts, preparing for whatever they might find at the source of the strange distress signal. Captain Alan Russell spent most of his time on the bridge, watching the stars streak by through the main view screen. 2 hours until we reached the coordinates, First Officer Maria Diaz announced. Russell nodded. "All departments, status report." Around the bridge, officers checked their stations. Lieutenant Ben Miller spoke first from navigation. "Course is steady, Captain. All navigation systems nominal." Sam Kelly reported from communications. "Signal is still active but growing weaker. Whatever's sending it is losing power." From the tactical station, Nicole Warren frowned at her screen. Long-range scanners showed debris in the area. Looks like there was some kind of fight. Dr. Daniel Howard, the ship's chief medical officer, stood near the captain's chair. "Medical bay is prepared for possible casualties, including non-human life forms." Russell turned to Security Chief Greg Simmons. "Prepare a boarding team. Full environmental suits and universal translators. We don't know what we're walking into." "Yes, sir," Simmons replied, leaving the bridge to gather his team. First Officer Diaz moved closer to Russell. "Alan," she said quietly, using his first name when no other crew could hear. "Command still hasn't responded to our message about investigating this signal. They're probably still deciding which bureaucrat should sign the response," Russell said with a small smile. "By the time they tell us not to go, we'll already be there." Diaz nodded. She had served with Russell for 3 years and trusted his judgment. If someone needed help, Russell would help them. That was just who he was. Dropping out of faster than light. Travel in 54321, Lieutenant Miller announced. The stars on the view screen stopped streaking and returned to normal points of light. In the center of the screen, a small damaged ship drifted against the blackness of space. Scan that vessel, Russell ordered. Sam Kelly studied his readings. It's definitely the source of the distress signal. Design is unlike anything in our database. Hull is damaged in multiple places. Power output is minimal. I'm detecting 16 life forms aboard, but 15 of them have extremely low metabolic readings. One is in a state similar to suspended animation. Survivors, Russell said. Are there any other ships in the area? Nicole Warren checked her tactical display. Negative, Captain. We're alone out here for now. Russell stood from his chair. Doctor, Howard joined the boarding team. If these people are injured or in some kind of stasis, we'll need your expertise. When Russell entered the shuttle bay, the boarding team was already prepared. 6 crew members in environmental suits checked their equipment one last time. Greg Simmons approached his captain. We're ready, sir, he reported. 2 security officers, 2 engineers to assess the ship's damage, Dr. Howard and myself. Russell nodded. Your primary mission is to help any survivors. Secondary mission is to determine what happened to that ship. Be careful, but remember these people called for help. Let's not disappoint them. The boarding shuttle launched from the Defiant and slowly approached the alien vessel. Up close, the damage was even more evident. Large holes had been blasted in the hull, though emergency force fields kept the atmosphere from venting completely. Those are weapons impacts, Security Officer Lisa Alvarez noted. Someone attacked this ship deliberately. The shuttle pilot, Jack Reed, located a functional docking port. With careful maneuvering, he connected the shuttle to the alien ship. Atmosphere. On the other side is breathable but thin, Dr. Howard reported, checking his scanner. Gravity is active, but at 60% of Earth normal. Temperature is just above freezing. Greg Simmons led the way, the team moving cautiously through the airlock into the alien vessel. Their helmet lights cut through the darkness of the ship's corridors. The architecture was strange. Doorways taller and narrower than human standards, writing in an unknown script on the walls, and equipment unlike anything they had seen before. Life signs are this way, Dr. Howard said, following his scanner down a corridor. They passed rooms filled with damaged equipment and scientific instruments. One of the engineers, Pete Chen, stopped to examine a device. This is incredible technology, he said. Some of these components look more advanced than anything we've developed. They continued until they reached a large chamber filled with pod-like structures. Inside each pod was a blue-skinned, slender being with large eyes and 6-fingered hands. These must be the crew, Dr. Howard said, examining the nearest pod. They're in some kind of cryostasis. The pods are keeping them alive, but the power is failing. Greg Simmons reported their findings to the Defiant. Captain, we found the crew. They appear to be in suspended animation. Dr. Howard believes they're stable for now, but their systems are running out of power. Understood, Russell's voice came through their comms. Is there any sign of who might be in charge? The team searched the chamber until they found a pod that was different from the others. Its systems showed signs of more recent activation. I think we found them, Dr. Howard said. This pod has only been active for a few weeks, while the others have been running for months. He studied the pod's control panel, comparing it to his medical scanner. I think I can safely revive whoever is inside. Greg Simmons nodded. Do it. Dr. Howard carefully worked the alien controls. The pod hummed and the frost on its clear cover began to melt. Inside, the blue-skinned being's eyes fluttered. The pod opened with a soft hiss. The alien inside took a gasping breath and slowly sat up, blinking in confusion at the strange being surrounding her. Alara Voss had expected to die in her sleep as the ship's power finally failed. Instead, she woke to find creatures in strange suits standing around her pod. Their bodies were bulkier than Ellerin physiology, and she couldn't see their faces behind their helmets. Fear shot through her body. One of the creatures stepped forward, slowly, and held up empty hands in what seemed to be a peaceful gesture. It touched a device on its suit, and a voice spoke in a language Alara had never heard before. Dr. Howard activated his universal translator, hoping it could process the new language. "We mean you no harm. We received your distress signal and came to help. Can you understand me?" The translator analyzed the sounds and attempted to find patterns. After a moment, it began converting Howard's words into sounds that approximated the alien's language. Alara's eyes widened as she heard the strange sounds shift into something almost understandable. The translation was rough, but she could make out the meaning. "You received our signal?" she asked in disbelief. "Who are you?" The universal translator processed her speech and converted it for the humans to understand. "We are humans from the planet Earth," Dr. Howard explained. "Our ship is called the Defiant. We detected your distress call and came to investigate. Are you injured?" Alara couldn't believe what she was hearing. An unknown species had traveled across space to answer her desperate call. It seemed impossible. "My crew," she said urgently. "Are they alive?" Dr. Howard nodded. "They appear to be stable, but your ship's power systems are failing. We need to get you all to our ship where we can help properly." Alara looked at the strange beings surrounding her. After months alone in space hunted by the Vrecken, she had given up hope. Now these humans had arrived from nowhere. "Why?" she asked simply. "Why would you come so far to help strangers?" Greg Simmons and Dr. Howard exchanged glances, confused by the question. "Because you needed help," Howard answered, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "That's what we do." The next 12 hours were busy for both humans and Elorans. The Defiant's crew worked to transfer the sleeping Eloran scientists to their medical bay, where Dr. Howard and his team set up special equipment to maintain their cryostasis. Captain Russell ordered engineering teams to begin repairs on the damaged Eloran ship. Alara Voss stood in the Defiant's conference room, watching the stars through the large viewport. She had changed from her tattered uniform into clean clothes provided by the humans. Though designed for human bodies, the fabric adjusted somewhat to her slender frame. The door opened, and Captain Russell entered with First Officer Diaz and Dr. Howard. They sat at the conference table and invited Alara to join them. "How are you feeling?" Dr. Howard asked. "Better, thank you," Alara replied. The universal translator had improved after analyzing more of her speech patterns. "I still cannot believe you came," Captain Russell smiled. "Your distress signal was clear. Someone needed help." Alara tilted her head, studying these strange aliens. "In my experience, most species do not risk themselves for strangers." "Maybe you've been meeting the wrong species," Russell said. "Now can you tell us what happened to your ship?" Alara nodded and explained about the Aloran research mission, though she was careful not to mention the ancient ruins or the technology they had found. She described how the Vrecken had attacked without warning, damaging their ship before they could escape. "These Vrecken," First Officer Diaz asked, "are they likely to return?" "Yes," Alara said simply. "They are very thorough. They will want to be certain no Eloran survived to report their actions." Captain Russell exchanged glances with his officers. "Then we need to move quickly. Dr. Howard, how soon can the Aloran crew be safely revived?" "I'd recommend keeping most of them in stasis until we reach Earth space," Howard replied. "Their medical needs are complex and our facilities aren't designed for their physiology. Ms. Voss here seems to be adapting well, but I wouldn't want to risk the others unnecessarily." Russell nodded. "And the Eloran ship? Can it be repaired?" "Chief Engineer Joe Martinez says the damage is extensive," Diaz reported. "We could get basic systems running again, but without proper facilities it won't be space-worthy." "We should take what we can and destroy it," Alara suggested. "If the Vrecken find it, they will learn much about Eloran technology, and they might be able to track where we've gone." Russell considered this. "We'll salvage any critical systems and data. Then we'll rig the reactor to overload once we're at a safe distance." Suddenly, the ship's alert system activated. Lieutenant Kelly's voice came through the comm system. "Captain, to the bridge. We've detected 3 ships entering the system." Everyone rushed to the bridge. On the main view screen, 3 angular vessels approached, their hulls covered in weapon ports. Vrecken warships, Alara whispered, her blue skin paling. Shields up, Russell ordered. Battle stations. Around the bridge, the crew moved with practiced efficiency. Nicole Warren manned the tactical station, her fingers flying over the controls as she prepared the Defiance weapons. "They're hailing us," Kelly announced. "On screen," Russell commanded, standing from his chair. The view screen changed to show a harsh-looking alien with gray, scaled skin and yellow eyes. Sharp teeth showed when it spoke. "Unknown vessel," the Vrecken commander said through the translation system. "I am Commander Zarl of the Vrecken Imperium. You are interfering with our military operation. Surrender the Aloran research team immediately." Russell stepped forward. "I'm Captain Alan Russell of the Earthship Defiant. We answered a distress call as is our custom. The Elorans are under our protection now." The Vrecken commander's eyes narrowed. "Protection? This is not your concern, human. The Alorans violated our territory. Hand them over and we will allow you to leave." "I'm afraid I can't do that," Russell replied calmly. "In our culture, when someone asks for help, we provide it. The Alorans have requested asylum, which we've granted." Commander Zarl seemed confused by this response. "You would risk conflict with the Vrecken Imperium for aliens you just met? This is illogical." Russell smiled slightly. "Perhaps, but it's our way." Zarl's patience ended. "You have 1 hour to surrender the Alorans, or we will take them by force." The screen went dark. "They outnumber us 3-1, Nicole Warren reported from Tactical. "Their weapons are powerful, but their shield technology seems less advanced than ours." Russell turned to Alara. "Is there anything else you can tell us about Vrecken tactics?" Alara nodded. "They always attack in formation. Their commanders never deviate from established battle plans. They consider it dishonorable." A slow smile spread across Russell's face. "Predictable tactics. That's something we can use." He turned to his crew. "We have 1 hour to prepare a surprise for our Vrecken friends." The next 60 minutes were a flurry of activity. Engineer Martinez modified the shields based on readings of Vrecken weapons. Lieutenant Miller programmed unusual flight patterns into the navigation system. Nicole Warren adjusted the targeting systems to focus on specific weaknesses in Vrecken ship design that Alara had identified. When the hour ended, the 3 Vrecken ships moved into attack formation. "They're powering weapons," Warren announced. "Evasive pattern Alpha," Russell ordered. "Hold fire until my command." The Defiant moved in a way the Vrecken had never seen before, breaking from the expected defensive posture and diving between 2 of the enemy ships. The Vrecken, confused by this tactic, hesitated to fire, worried about hitting their own vessels. "Now, Lieutenant Warren," Russell commanded. The Defiant's weapons fired, targeting the propulsion systems of the lead Vrecken ship. The modified shields of the human vessel held against the return fire. "Their formation is breaking," Diaz observed. Russell nodded. "They don't know how to respond to our tactics. Keep moving, Lieutenant Miller. Don't let them predict our pattern." The battle continued for 20 minutes. The Defiant darted between the Vrecken ships, striking quickly and then moving away. The human crew worked together smoothly, each person making decisions without waiting for orders when necessary. Alara watched in amazement. The Alorans were peaceful researchers, not warriors. They had never seen combat like this. What impressed her most was how the humans fought, not with rage or hatred, but with calm determination and teamwork. One of the Vrecken ships lost power to its weapons. Another suffered damage to its navigation system. Commander Zarl's flagship, though still functional, couldn't land a solid hit on the nimble human vessel. "They're retreating," Warren announced as the Vrecken ships began to pull away. A message came through from Commander Zarl. His voice was stiff with controlled fury. "This is not over, humans. You have made an enemy today." Russell watched the Vrecken ships disappear into faster-than-light travel. "Set course for Earth space, maximum speed," he ordered, "and prepare to destroy the Eloran vessel as planned." He turned to find Alara staring at him and his crew with an expression he couldn't read. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Nothing is wrong," she replied softly. "I am trying to understand. Your people fought to protect strangers. Your crew makes decisions without waiting for orders. Even when damaged, you refuse to surrender. These concepts are unusual in galactic society. Russell shrugged. It's just who we are. As the Defiant sped away from the battle site, the damaged Aloran research vessel exploded behind them, leaving no trace for the Recon to follow. Alara watched the flash of light on the view screen, feeling both sadness for the loss of her ship and hope for the future. These humans were unlike any species she had encountered before. They combined surprising strength with unexpected kindness. Perhaps, with their help, the galaxy might become a different place, one where distress calls were answered, even from the depths of space. The journey to Earth space took 3 weeks. During this time, Alara became a student of human behavior. She observed the crew at work and rest, asking questions and taking mental notes about everything she saw. The humans, in turn, were curious about her and her species. In the ship's lounge, Alara sat with Science Officer Linda Carter. The human woman had bright red hair pulled back in a neat bun and friendly eyes that crinkled when she smiled. "So your people have never developed weapons?" Linda asked, sipping her coffee. Alara shook her head. "We have simple defensive technology, but nothing like your ships. Alorans believe knowledge should be used to create, not destroy." "Yet you explore dangerous regions of space," Linda pointed out. "The pursuit of knowledge involves risk," Alara replied. "We accept this. What we don't understand is why your species would risk yourselves for strangers." Linda thought for a moment. "Humans have a complicated history. For thousands of years, we fought each other over resources, beliefs, and territory. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times. Then why help others? Why not focus only on your own survival?" "Because we learned something important," Linda said. "When we finally looked beyond our planet, we realized how vast and dangerous space truly is. We understood that intelligent life is precious, no matter what form it takes." Alara considered. "This. Many species reach space and become more protective, more isolated." Linda nodded. "We considered that path. Some humans still argue for it, but our leaders decided that extending the hand of friendship serves us better in the long run. We'd rather have allies than enemies." "Even when it puts you in danger?" "Especially then," Linda smiled. "Facing danger together creates the strongest bonds." Later that day, Captain Russell invited Alara to observe a training exercise on the bridge. The crew ran simulations of emergency situations, practicing their responses. Alara was struck by how each person made quick decisions without always waiting for orders. "Your command structure is unusual," she told Russell afterward. "In Aloran ships, no one acts without direct instructions from superiors." Russell laughed. "If my crew waited for me to tell them everything, we'd be dead 100 times over. I expect them to think for themselves. But what if they make mistakes? Then they learn from them. Making a wrong decision quickly is often better than making the right decision too late." This concept fascinated Alara. Among her people, avoiding mistakes was paramount. The idea that errors could be valuable learning experiences was revolutionary. As days passed, Dr. Howard began carefully waking some of the Aloran crew from cryosleep. Merrick, the expedition leader, was the first to be revived. His reaction to finding himself on a human ship mirrored Alara's initial shock. "These beings fought the Recon for us?" he asked Alara in their native language. "Why would they do such a thing?" "I have been studying them," Alara replied. "They are unlike any species we have encountered. They combine strength with compassion. In a way I find difficult to explain." In the medical bay, Merrick spoke with Dr. Howard through the translator. "My people owe you a great debt. Without your intervention, we would surely have perished." Howard smiled as he checked Merrick's vital signs. "Just doing our job. Besides, we've learned a lot from Alara about your species. The exchange of knowledge benefits us all." "Knowledge?" Merrick glanced at Alara with concern. "What have you told them about our mission?" "Only that we were researchers," she assured him quietly. "Nothing about what we found." Later, in a private moment, Merrick questioned Alara more directly. "We cannot share the technology from those ruins. It is too dangerous." I know, Alara agreed. But these humans saved our lives without asking for anything in return. They fought. For us, Merrick. No one has ever done that for Elorans before. Merrick frowned. Their willingness to engage in combat concerns me. What if they use the ancient technology for warfare? I've been observing them closely, Alara said. They are warriors, yes, but not conquerors. They use strength to protect, not dominate. You sound like you admire them. I do, Alara admitted. They are contradictory beings, capable of great violence yet equally driven by compassion. They value individual thinking but work together seamlessly. It's fascinating. As more Eloran scientists woke from cryosleep, a picture emerged of a species unlike anything in their experience. The humans shared their knowledge freely, expecting nothing in return. They welcomed questions and seemed to enjoy explaining their customs and history. Engineer Joe Martinez showed Eloran scientists around the engine room, explaining how their propulsion systems worked. In the research lab, Linda Carter and the Eloran biologists exchanged information about different life forms they had encountered in their travels. Your approach to space exploration is admirable, one Eloran scientist told Linda. You seek to understand, not merely catalog. Isn't that the point? Linda replied. The universe is full of wonders. Understanding them is what makes us better. As the Defiant approached Earth space, Captain Russell received a message from command. He called Alara and Merrick to his ready room to discuss it. Earth Central is sending a diplomatic team to meet us at Outpost 7, he explained. This is the first official contact between our peoples. They're very excited. As are we, Merrick said. Though I must admit some concern about how your government will view us. Will they expect payment for our rescue? Russell shook his head. That's not how we operate. You requested asylum and we granted it. No conditions. But surely your leaders will want something in return, Merrick pressed. They'll be interested in establishing diplomatic relations, learning about your people, sharing scientific knowledge, the usual first contact protocols. But your rescue was unconditional. This concept seemed to surprise Merrick more than anything else he had learned about humans. On the bridge, Nicole Warren reported from Tactical. Captain, long-range sensors are picking up unusual activity near Outpost 7. Several unidentified ships have taken up position there. Russell frowned. Frecken? Configuration doesn't match, Warren replied. But they're definitely not Earth fleet. First Officer Diaz reviewed the sensor data. Those look like Eloran ships, Captain. Alara and Merrick exchanged shocked glances. That's impossible, Merrick said. We had no way to contact our homeworld. Sam Kelly spoke up from communications. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the lead ship. They're identifying themselves as the Eloran Defense Fleet. Defense Fleet? Alara whispered. We don't have a defense fleet. Russell raised an eyebrow. It seems your people have been busy in your absence. The view screen activated to show an Eloran face, older, with the darker blue skin of authority. Research vessel Starlight Seeker. This is Administrator Voral of the newly formed Eloran Defense Forces. We have come to escort you home. Merrick stepped forward in shock. Administrator Voral, how did you know to find us here? The administrator's expression was grave. When your distress signal went silent, we feared the worst. Then our long-range monitors detected weapons fire in your last known location, and, shortly after, we began receiving scattered reports of a new species that had engaged the Reckon in combat to protect Eloran researchers. He looked at Captain Russell with curious respect. Are these the humans we have heard about? Russell nodded. Captain Alan Russell of the USS Defiant. We answered a distress call. Nothing more. Nothing more, Voral repeated. Captain, your actions have changed everything. The Eloran Confederation has existed for centuries as researchers and explorers, always avoiding conflict. After hearing what you did for our people, many Elorans began to question this approach. Alara looked at Merrick, then back at the screen. You formed a defense fleet because of what the humans did? Yes, Voral confirmed. Their example showed us that sometimes one must stand firm to protect knowledge and life. We have begun building ships not just for exploration, but for defense. and not just for ourselves. Russell smiled slightly. Sounds like we have a lot to talk about, Administrator. 6 months passed since the rescue in deep space. On Earth's largest space station, Alara Voss stood by a wide viewport, watching ships come and go. The blue-green planet below was still strange to her eyes, but it had become something of a second home. Behind her, the door to the observation deck opened. Captain Alan Russell, now wearing the formal uniform of an Earth Fleet admiral, entered the room. "I thought I might find you here," he said with a smile. "Still watching the stars?" Alara nodded. "Old habits. As a researcher, I spent most of my life looking outward, and now? Now I find myself looking inward as well. Your species has that effect." Russell laughed. "We tend to complicate things. Are you ready for the ceremony?" "As ready as I can be," Alara replied. "Though I never imagined becoming an ambassador." They walked together toward the station's main assembly hall. The corridors were filled with both humans and Alorans working side by side. In the months since first contact, relations between the two species had developed rapidly. "Have you heard from Merrick?" Russell asked. "Yes. He and the rest of our research team have returned to Eleron space. They're helping integrate the knowledge we gathered with new defensive strategies and the technology you found in those ruins. You never did tell me exactly what it was." Alara gave him a knowing look. "Some secrets must be kept, Admiral, for everyone's safety." Russell nodded. He didn't press the issue. Trust had grown between them, but both understood that some knowledge needed time and wisdom before it could be shared. They entered the assembly hall, which was filled with officials from both Earth and the Aloran Confederation. At the center of the room, a large table displayed a holographic map of the galaxy, with Aloran space marked in blue and human territory in green. Administrator Vorel approached them. "Admiral Russell, Ambassador Voss, welcome. We are ready to begin." The formal signing of the Earth-Aloran Alliance took less than 20 minutes. The real work had been done over months of careful negotiation. Earth agreed to share defensive technology and tactical knowledge. The Alorans offered advances in medical science and faster-than-light travel. Both pledged mutual defense and scientific cooperation. After the ceremony, Linda Carter, now a senior science liaison, joined Alara at the reception. "So it's official," Linda said. "Our peoples are now allies." "More than allies," Alara corrected. "Friends, something neither of us had much of before." Linda nodded. "The Vrekin have been quiet lately. Our intelligence suggests they're reassessing their strategy." "They don't understand what happened," Alara said. "In their worldview, stronger species dominate weaker ones. They cannot comprehend why humans would fight for Alorans, or why Alorans would suddenly begin building warships. They'll figure it out eventually." "Yes, but by then it will be too late. The alliance is growing. 3 other species have approached us about joining." Linda raised her glass in a toast. "To unexpected friendships." Alara mirrored the gesture, still finding human customs charming. "To answering calls in the dark." Later that evening, Alara stood in a briefing room with Admiral Russell and several high-ranking officers from both species. A tactical display showed recent movements of Vrekin ships near the border of Aloran space. "They're testing our resolve," Joe Martinez, now a captain of his own vessel, observed. "Pushing to see how we'll respond." Russell studied the display. "Typical behavior for bullies. They've lost their advantage of fear." "We've received an interesting development," Alara said, activating her datapad. "My sources report that several research ships that went missing in Vrekin territory have escaped. They sent a coded message asking for rendezvous coordinates." "More survivors?" Russell asked. "Yes. When news spread about how humans answered our distress call, it inspired others. Several Aloran science teams managed to escape captivity. They reported that many other species held by the Vrekin are watching closely." Nicole Warren, recently promoted to commander, leaned forward. "We could be looking at a significant shift in power throughout this sector." "All because one ship answered a distress call," Russell said quietly. Alara nodded. Small actions can have large consequences. Before you rescued us, most species in this region believed resistance against the Wrecken was impossible. Now they see another path. The tactical display updated, showing the position of the joint Earth-Iloran fleet. 20 ships, a mix of human warships and newly built Iloran vessels, prepared for their first joint mission. Operation Safe Harbor is ready to launch, First Officer Diaz, now Captain Diaz of the USS Horizon, reported. We can reach the rendezvous point in 3 days, Russell nodded. Proceed as planned, but remember, this is a rescue mission, not a military engagement. We avoid conflict if possible. And if conflict finds us? Commander Warren asked. Then we show the Wrecken that the rules have changed, Russell replied. But we don't fire first. Alara, watch the humans plan the mission. 6 months ago, she had been alone in deep space with no hope of rescue. Now she stood among friends, planning to help others who faced the same desperate situation. Later, alone in her quarters, Alara recorded an entry in her personal log. It has been exactly 7 months since the Defiant answered our distress call. In that time, more has changed than I could have imagined. The Iloran people have begun to understand that knowledge without action can be as empty as action without knowledge. She paused, collecting her thoughts. The humans have a saying, the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. Before meeting them, my people believed observation and documentation were enough. Now we understand that sometimes one must stand firm, must act rather than merely observe. Alara looked out her viewport at Earth below. What makes humans remarkable isn't their technology or even their fighting capability. It's their instinct to help, their refusal to ignore those in need. In answering one small distress call from beings they'd never met, they've changed the course of galactic history. She smiled as she watched a human ship launch from the station, heading out to the stars. Tomorrow we depart to rescue more stranded researchers, more beings who, like me, sent desperate calls into the darkness with little hope of response. This time they will receive an answer. This time they will learn that in this sector of space, distress calls are heard and answered. As Alara prepared for sleep, her communication panel chimed. A message from Captain Russell appeared. Final mission briefing at 0700. Don't be late, Ambassador. We've got people waiting for us out there. Alara sent a simple reply. I'll be there. Some calls must be answered, no matter how far we must travel. She fell asleep watching the stars, no longer feeling alone in the vast darkness of space. Somewhere out there, others waited in desperation as she once had. Soon, they would know what she now knew, that even in the coldest depths of space, hope could arrive in unexpected forms. Sometimes, it arrived in the form of humans. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched wide and tall, with smooth curved walls that glowed with soft blue light. 500 representatives from across the galaxy sat in rising tiers, their forms as varied as the stars themselves. Some had too many limbs, others had none. Some breathed water, others breathed fire. But all of them shared one thing today. They were laughing. At the center of the chamber stood Lisa Harmon, the sole human representative to the council. She was a tall woman with dark skin and close-cropped silver hair, dressed in the simple, blue uniform of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. Her face remained calm despite the ripples of amusement spreading through the chamber. "Order," called Grand Arbiter Vexcor, his voice booming through the room. Vexcor belonged to the ancient Morvani race, his translucent skin revealing the complex network of glowing veins beneath. As the head of the council, he had seen many strange proposals in his 300 years of service, but this one seemed to amuse even him. Still, rules were rules. "The council will respect the right of all members to be heard." The laughter faded to snickers and whispers. "Ambassador Harmon," Vexcor continued, "please restate your proposal for the record." Lisa nodded and spoke clearly into the translator disc floating before her. "I propose that humans be added to the list of restricted species under Galactic Law 5962, with appropriate containment protocols established for our expansion and interaction with other civilizations." Fresh laughter burst forth. A representative of the Zalari hive, a tall insectoid creature, clicked her mandibles in their species version of a chuckle. From the upper tiers, Councillor Zixtal rose to his feet. The blue-skinned Arathi was known for his sharp tongue and sharper mind. His people had been spacefaring when humans were still learning to make fire. "Honored Arbiter," said Zixtal, his voice smooth with mockery. "I believe I speak for many when I ask what possible threat humans could pose to the galactic community. Should we also restrict the expansion of pet Zoobles because one might someday bite someone?" The chamber erupted in laughter again. Lisa did not join in. She simply waited. "The Arathi Confederation recalls," Zixtal continued, "that humans achieved faster-than-light travel a mere 50 standard years ago. My people mastered antimatter weaponry when your ancestors were still riding in wheeled vehicles powered by burning plant matter." "Oil," Lisa corrected quietly. "Pardon?" Zixtal raised a delicate eyebrow. "It was oil, not plant matter. Fossil fuels." "The distinction hardly matters," Zixtal waved a four-fingered hand dismissively. "The point stands. Most species in this chamber have been spacefaring for millennia. Some, like the honored Morvani, have existed as interstellar powers for over 10,000 years. Vexcor gave a slight bow of acknowledgement. "So I ask again," Zixtal said. "What could possibly justify adding humans to the same list that contains the Voklath horde and the silicon mines of Canis Major, species that have destroyed entire star systems?" Lisa inhaled slowly through her nose. "I have prepared evidence that I believe the Council needs to see." "Evidence?" Zixtal laughed. "Of what? Your dangerous mining operations on that frozen moon, in your home system? Or perhaps the 3 colony worlds you've managed to establish while the Arathi maintain peaceful presence on over 300. "Councillor Zixtal," Vexcor cut in, "you have made your point. The floor belongs to Ambassador Harmon." Lisa nodded thanks. "What I have is a data package transmitted from human space 6 months ago. It contains footage that, well, I believe it speaks for itself." She hesitated for a moment, and something in her expression caught the attention of the council members. There was worry there, yes, but also something else. Shame, fear. It was hard to tell with humans. "I request permission to display this footage to the full council," Lisa said. Vexcor considered for a moment, then nodded. "Permission granted, though I remind the council this viewing is a courtesy. No vote has been called." "Thank you, Arbiter." Lisa tapped a sequence into the small device on her wrist, and the lights in the chamber dimmed. Above the central floor, a massive holographic display flickered to life. The image stabilized to show a planet from orbit, a blue-green world, with swirling white clouds and 2 small moons. "This is Epsilon Indi 4, Lisa explained, a frontier world approximately 20 light-years from Earth. 6 months ago, we established a small scientific outpost there to study the local flora and fauna." The image zoomed in, showing a modest collection of buildings in a clearing surrounded by purple-leaved trees. People in white lab coats moved between structures, setting up equipment. This outpost was run by Dr. Alan Mitchell, leading a team of 12 xenobiologists and environmental scientists, Lisa continued. Their mission was purely research-based, in full compliance with Council exploration protocols. The hologram shifted to show a man with a weathered face and graying beard. He looked directly at the camera. Daily log, Epsilon Indy 4 outpost. Day 43, the man said. We've identified 27 new plant species and what appears to be a pack-hunting animal similar to earth wolves, though with 6 legs and remarkable problem-solving abilities. Dr. Wright believes their social structure might be even more complex than... Alan stopped suddenly, looking up. The camera picked up a distant rumble that quickly grew louder. What's that? Someone off camera asked. The footage cut to an exterior view as a dark shape descended from the clouds. It was a warship, its hull covered in sharp angles and protruding weapons. Drakari, whispered a council member, the words spreading through the chamber. The predatory Drakari were not members of the council. They existed on the fringes of civilized space, raiding weaker species and disappearing before council peacekeepers could respond. The Drakari ship landed near the outpost, crushing trees beneath it. A ramp extended and armored figures marched out. They were tall, reptilian creatures with scaled skin and rows of sharp teeth visible beneath their breathing apparatuses. The footage jumped to show Alan standing at the outpost perimeter, hands raised in a gesture of peace as the Drakari approached. I am Dr. Alan Mitchell of Earth, he called out. This is a peaceful research mission under the protection of the Galactic Council. We welcome you to... The leader of the Drakari party stepped forward, taller than the others with red markings on his armor. He spoke, his words translated in subtitles across the bottom of the hologram. Silence, human. This world now belongs to the Drakari Imperium. Your outpost and all research within are now property of High Commander Vreskar. Alan kept his hands visible. We respect your people, Commander, but this world is registered with the Council as a protected research zone. We can contact Council representatives to discuss, the commander hissed. The Council has no authority here. You have one rotation of this world to surrender your outpost and all research. Resist and you will serve as examples of human weakness. In the council chamber, the laughter had completely died away. Many representatives leaned forward, watching intently. The footage showed Alan turning to a woman standing nearby. Dr. Wright, please transmit emergency protocols to Earth Command. The Drakari commander moved with shocking speed, crossing the distance to the humans in 2 bounds. He grabbed the woman, Dr. Wright, by the throat and lifted her off the ground. No communications, he snarled. Please, Alan said, his voice steady despite the fear clear on his face. She's done nothing. We'll comply with your demands. The commander looked directly at Alan, then at the recording device. With a single motion, he snapped Dr. Wright's neck and dropped her body to the ground. A gasp echoed through the council chamber. One rotation, the commander repeated, turning back toward his ship. Then we collect what remains. As the Drakari troops retreated, Alan knelt beside Dr. Wright's body. His face was a mask of grief and shock. He looked up at the camera, and something changed in his expression. The shock hardened into something cold and determined. Send the message, he said quietly to someone off screen. Tell them exactly what happened here. The footage froze on Alan's face, and Lisa raised her hand to pause the playback. This is only the beginning, she said to the silent council. Do you wish me to continue? Not a single voice in the chamber laughed now. No one spoke at all. Vexcor cleared his throat. Continue, Ambassador. The hologram resumed playing. The council chamber remained silent as the footage showed the aftermath of Dr. Wright's murder. Alan Mitchell and the remaining scientists were herded into the main research building by Drakari soldiers. Their hands were bound, and their faces showed a mixture of grief and fear. The Drakari commander, Vreskar, walked among the captive humans, examining their equipment with casual interest. He picked up a sample container and sniffed it before tossing it. Aside, your species collects such useless things, he said. Dirt samples, plant specimens, what value do these have? Knowledge has its own value, Alan replied quietly. Something your people might learn if you stop taking from others. Vreskar turned slowly. He approached Alan and bent down until their faces were inches apart. The commander's breath fogged. In the cool air of the research station. "You think your knowledge makes you strong?" Vreskar asked. "Your species is young and weak. You have no place among the stars." Alan met the commander's eyes. "We're younger than most, yes, but weakness is relative." Something in Alan's tone made Vreskar pause. He studied the human's face before laughing, a harsh sound that showed all his teeth. "Your counsel will not save you," Vreskar said. "By the time they respond to your distress call, we will be gone, and you will be dead." "We didn't call the council," Alan said. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across the commander's face. "Then who did you contact?" Alan said nothing. Vreskar struck him across the face with the back of his armored hand. Blood trickled from Alan's split lip, but his expression remained unchanged. "Tell me who you contacted," Vreskar demanded. "Earth," Alan said simply. "We called home." The commander laughed again. "Earth? Your homeworld is 20 light years away. No help will arrive in time." "You should know," Alan said, wiping blood from his mouth. "Humans don't respond well to threats." Vreskar struck him again, harder this time. Alan fell to his knees but looked back up at the commander. "You have 1 day to prepare yourselves," Vreskar said. "Then we will show you how the Drakari deal with defiance." The footage jumped forward. A timestamp in the corner indicated 3 days had passed. The view showed the Drakari ship still parked near the outpost, with armed guards patrolling the perimeter. Suddenly, one of the guards pointed skyward. The camera panned up to show a small ship breaking through the clouds. It was sleek and dark, with minimal markings. A simple designation was visible on its hull: USS Defiant. In the council chamber, Zixtal leaned forward. "That vessel is too small to be a warship," he muttered. Lisa Harmon said nothing, but her hands tightened around the edges of her podium. The footage showed the Drakari rushing to battle stations. Alerts sounded from their ship as the human vessel settled into orbit above them. The view switched to inside the research facility, where Alan and the other scientists were watching through a window. Their expressions were hard to read, part hope, part something darker. "They actually sent her," one of the scientists whispered. "Who?" asked another. "Captain Reeves." The footage cut to the bridge of the USS Defiant. A woman sat in the command chair, her posture relaxed but alert. Captain Samantha Reeves had short blonde hair and a face that seemed too young for the 4 silver bars on her uniform collar. Her expression was calm, almost serene. "Open a channel to the Drakari vessel," she ordered. A view screen lit up, showing Vresakar's face. The commander looked amused. "So Earth sent a rescue party after all," he said. "One small ship against a Drakari warbird. Your species truly is foolish." Captain Reeves smiled slightly. "This is Captain Samantha Reeves of the USS Defiant. You are holding 11 Earth citizens against their will. Release them immediately and withdraw from this planet." Vreskar laughed. "You are in no position to make demands, human. But I admire your courage. I will allow you to witness what happens to those who defy the Drakari." He transmitted a set of coordinates. "Come to this location in 1 hour, unarmed. You may retrieve what remains of your scientists after we've finished with them." "Captain." Reeves looked at the coordinates without emotion. "Understood, we'll be there." Vreskar seemed disappointed by her easy submission. The transmission ended. A young officer turned to Captain Reeves. "Ma'am, you're not actually going to—" "No, Lieutenant," she interrupted. "Prepare the package." "Yes, ma'am." The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. None of them seemed panicked or rushed, despite being outnumbered and outgunned. The footage switched to an external view as the USS Defiant launched what appeared to be 6 small missiles toward the planet. In the council chamber, several representatives shifted nervously. "Primitive kinetic weapons," Zixtal commented, but his voice lacked conviction. The missiles streaked toward the Drakari ship, but halfway there, they simply vanished from view. Back on the Drakari warbird, confusion spread. Their sensors showed the missiles had disappeared. Vreskar ordered a full scan, but his crew found nothing. Their weapons failed, he laughed. Pathetic. But his laughter died when one of his officers collapsed without warning, then another. Within seconds, crew members throughout the ship began falling where they stood, without a mark on them. What is happening? Vresikar demanded, backing away from the fallen bodies. On the bridge of the Defiant, Captain Reeves watched calmly as data streamed across her screens. Nanite deployment successful, reported an officer. They've penetrated the Drakari life support systems. Dispersion at 87% and rising. Any impact on the hostages? Reeves asked. No, ma'am. The nanites are programmed only for Drakari neural pathways. The scientists are unaffected. In the Drakari ship, the camera showed microscopic robots flowing through the air filtration system. Invisible to the naked eye, they swarmed by the billions, entering the Drakari through their breathing apparatuses and targeting their nervous systems with precision. Vresikar stumbled to the communications panel. What have you done? He gasped. As the transmission reached the Defiant, Captain Reeves looked at him with those same calm eyes. We've neutralized the threat you pose to our people. This is impossible, Vresikar wheezed. Your species doesn't have this technology. There's a lot you don't know about humans, Reeves replied. Vresikar fell to his knees, struggling to breathe. The Council will punish you for this violation. The Council didn't come when you murdered Dr. Wright, Reeves said. We did. The Drakari commander collapsed. Captain Reeves turned to her crew. Prep a landing party. Standard recovery protocol. The footage cut to a team of 6 humans in lightweight combat gear disembarking from a shuttle near the research facility. Captain Reeves led them, carrying only a small sidearm. They moved with quick, confident steps toward the building where the scientists were held. 2 Drakari guards who had been outside during the nanite attack attempted to stop them. A human Marine, his uniform identified him as Staff Sergeant Joe Collins, raised what looked like a simple projectile weapon. He fired twice and both Drakari fell, dark blood pooling beneath them. Coded ammunition, Lisa explained to the Silent Council. The bullets contained compounds that neutralize the Drakari natural regenerative abilities. The recovery team entered the building. Lieutenant Olivia Garcia deployed a small device that emitted a pulse of energy. The remaining Drakari guards inside fell to the floor, immobilized by the gravity distortion. Portable gravity manipulators, Lisa noted. Technology that many on this council believed was still centuries beyond human capability. The team moved through the building with surgical precision, neutralizing threats without endangering the hostages. Within minutes, they reached Alan and the other scientists. Captain Reeves, Alan greeted her with visible relief. Your timing is excellent. Always aim to please, Dr. Mitchell, she replied, cutting his restraints. Is everyone accounted for? Alan's face darkened. All except Dr. Wright. Reeves nodded. We know. Her death has been answered. Once the scientists were secured, Captain Reeves activated her communication device. Defiant, this is Reeves. Package is secure. 11 survivors ready for extraction. The face of an older man appeared on her screen. Admiral Jack Harrison's expression was grim. Casualties? He asked. None on our side, Reeves reported. The Drakari have been neutralized. All of them? All except the commander. He's still alive, as ordered. Admiral Harrison nodded slowly. Make sure he understands why this happened, Captain. Yes, sir. The footage froze again and Lisa Harmon looked up at the council. The chamber remained silent, the earlier laughter now completely forgotten. Shall I continue to part 3? She asked. Grand Arbiter Vexcor nodded slowly. Continue, Ambassador. The hologram flickered and resumed. The footage now showed a small bare room with metal walls. In the center sat Vresikar, the Drakari commander. His arms and legs were bound to a chair by simple restraints. The proud warrior looked diminished, now, his scales dull and his breathing labored from the effects of the nanites. Captain Reeves entered the room alone. She carried no weapons and showed no fear as she pulled up a chair and sat across from the Drakari. For a long moment she simply studied him, Why am I still alive? Vresikar finally asked, his voice raspy. To deliver a message, Reeves replied. The Drakari commander tried to laugh, but it turned into a cough. You expect me to be your messenger? I would rather die. That option remains available, Reeves said calmly. But first you need to understand what happened here. In the council chamber, many representatives leaned forward. Some looked uncomfortable, others fascinated. All were silent. Your species is primitive, Vresikar said. You achieved space travel only decades ago. How did you develop such weapons? Humans have been around for a long time, Reeves explained. We've spent most of that time fighting and killing each other. When we weren't fighting, we were preparing to fight. She leaned forward slightly. While the older species of the galaxy were building vast peaceful civilizations spanning hundreds of worlds, humans were perfecting the art of warfare on a single planet. We've had nuclear weapons for over 200 years. We developed biological weapons capable of wiping out our entire species before we even left our atmosphere. Vresikar's eyes widened slightly. When we joined the galactic community, Reeves continued, we discovered we were surrounded by older, more powerful civilizations. So we adapted. We kept our most advanced technologies hidden. We appeared weaker than we were. Why? Asked Vresikar. Survival, she said simply. The same reason. You're still alive right now. The footage cut to the research facility. The human Marines were helping the scientists gather their most important equipment and samples. Staff Sergeant Collins approached Captain Reeves with a data pad. Final sweep complete, Captain, he reported. We've secured all research materials and personal effects. The Drakari ship has been sterilized and their weapon systems disabled. Good, Reeves nodded. What about their communications array? Left intact, as ordered. The commander will be able to send a message once we're gone. And the package? Collins handed her a small metal box. Ready for delivery, ma'am. Reeves took the box and returned to the holding room where Vresikar waited. She placed it on the table between them but didn't open it. Do you know why we didn't just destroy your ship from orbit? She asked. The Drakari commander didn't answer. We could have, Reeves continued. The Defiant carries antimatter warheads capable of reducing this entire continent to ash. We also have orbital rods that could pierce your hull like paper. We have bioweapons that could target your specific DNA and eradicate your entire species. She tapped the box with one finger. But we didn't use any of those options. Why? Vresikar asked, his voice barely audible. Because humans understand something that the Drakari apparently don't, Reeves said. The difference between can and should. We can destroy your people, but we choose not to. We prefer peace. She opened the box and removed a small metal disc. This contains footage of everything that happened here. Your attack. The murder of Dr. Wright. Our response. She set it on the table. You will take this to your leaders. Show them what happened when they chose to threaten humans. Vresikar looked at the disc. And if I refuse? Then the second package we prepared will be deployed, Reeves said, her voice still calm. It contains nanites programmed to target Drakari young. They would be released on your homeworld within the week. The Drakari commander hissed in shock. You would not. We would prefer not to, Reeves corrected him. But make no mistake, Commander. If forced to choose between your species and ours, we will always choose our own. In the council chamber, several representatives shifted uncomfortably. Grand Arbiter Vexcor's glowing veins pulsed more quickly, betraying his agitation. The footage continued. Reeves stood and moved toward the door. Wait, Vresikar called. What message do you want me to deliver with this? Reeves turned back. Tell your people that humans will meet peace with peace, but we will always match escalation. Today you killed one of us. We responded by immobilizing your crew. Next time might be different. She looked directly at the Drakari. I want your leaders to understand that humans aren't dangerous because we want to be. We're dangerous because we had to be. The footage shifted to show the USS Defiant departing the planet's atmosphere, leaving behind the disabled Drakari vessel. A small shuttle detached from the human ship and landed near the Drakari craft. Marines escorted Vreskar to his ship, leaving him with the data disk and his freedom. As the shuttle rejoined the Defiant, the camera zoomed in on Captain Reeves watching from a viewport. Her expression was somber, with none of the triumph one might expect after a successful rescue mission. Lieutenant Garcia approached her. "Captain, the scientists are settled in their quarters. Dr. Mitchell would like to speak with you when you have a moment." Reeves nodded. "How are they?" "Physically fine. Mentally?" Garcia hesitated. "They watched Dr. Wright die. That doesn't heal quickly." "No," Reeves agreed quietly. "It doesn't." "Permission to ask a question, ma'am?" "Go ahead." "Would we really have deployed the second package?" Garcia asked. "Against their young?" Reeves turned to face her lieutenant. "No, that was a bluff. We needed him to understand the stakes." Relief showed on Garcia's face. "But," Reeves continued, "he needed to believe it was true. And the only way to make someone believe you would do something unthinkable is to convince yourself it's possible just for a moment." She looked back out at the stars. "That's what makes humans dangerous, Olivia. Not our weapons or our technology. It's our willingness to cross lines when we have to, while hoping we never have to." The scene shifted to Earth Command headquarters. Admiral Harrison sat across from Captain Reeves reviewing her mission report. "The scientists are back safe," Harrison said. "The Drakari have been warned. I'd call that a success." "Yes, sir," Reeves replied, "but Dr. Wright is still dead." Harrison's face softened slightly. "We can't save everyone, Sam. You know that." "I know. But sometimes I wonder if we're solving problems or creating new ones." "How so?" Reeves gestured to the report. "The Drakari will spread the word about what happened. Other species will hear about our capabilities, the ones we've kept hidden. And," Harrison prompted, "and now they'll either fear us or try to acquire our technology. Neither option leads to peace." The Admiral leaned back in his chair. "Maybe. Or maybe they'll respect our boundaries now that they understand the cost of crossing them." "Do you believe that, sir?" Harrison sighed. "I believe humans have been fighting our whole history. I believe we're good at it. Too good sometimes. But I also believe we want more than just survival. We want to belong in this galaxy." He tapped his desk, bringing up a hologram of the Milky Way, with thousands of tiny lights representing inhabited worlds. "There are species out there thousands of years ahead of us technologically," he said. "Others who've been at peace so long they've forgotten what conflict even feels like. They see us as children playing with dangerous toys." "Aren't we?" Reeves asked quietly. "Maybe," Harrison admitted, "but children grow up. The question is, what will we grow into?" The footage froze on the image of the galaxy map, with Earth marked as a small blue dot on one of the spiral arms. In the council chamber, Lisa Harmon raised her hand, pausing the playback again. She looked up at the assembled representatives, all traces of laughter now gone from the vast chamber. "Shall I continue to the final part?" she asked. Grand Arbiter Vexcor looked around at the silent council members. Many nodded. "Continue, Ambassador," he said, his voice more subdued than before. The hologram continued, showing a new timestamp 6 weeks after the incident at Epsilon Indy 4. The scene was a large chamber on what appeared to be a Drakari world. The room was filled with high-ranking Drakari officials, their scales more colorful and their armor more ornate than the soldiers seen earlier. At the center stood Vreskar, looking thinner than before but standing straight. He placed a familiar metal disc on a pedestal in the middle of the chamber. The footage they had just seen began playing for the Drakari leaders. "This is what happened when we attacked the human outpost," Vreskar explained, his voice stronger. "Now, 1 human died. In return, they neutralized my entire crew without destroying our ship." The Drakari leaders watched in silence, their expressions difficult for non-Drakari to read, but their rigid postures suggested shock. "The humans could have killed us all," Vreskar continued. "They chose not to. Instead, they sent me back with a message. An older Drakari with deep red scales and elaborate golden armor stepped forward. You expect us to fear these newcomers because of one encounter? I expect you to understand what we face, War Master, Vreskar replied. These are not like the other soft species of the Council. These humans have weapons we have never seen before. They have technologies they have kept hidden from the galaxy. All species hide their true strengths, the War Master dismissed. It is the way of the galaxy. Not like this, Vreskar insisted. The humans achieved space travel less than a century ago, yet they have nanite weapons that can target specific neural pathways. They have gravity manipulation technology small enough to be carried by a single soldier, another Drakari official hissed. If what you say is true, why have they not used these weapons to claim more territory? They have only 3 colony worlds. Because they are patient, Vreskar said. They are studying us, all of us, learning our weaknesses while hiding their strengths. In the council chamber, many representatives shifted uncomfortably. Councillor Zixtal, who had laughed so loudly at the beginning, now watched with narrowed eyes. The footage continued. The Drakari War Master circled the hologram pedestal, watching the images of humans deploying their advanced weapons. If they are so dangerous, he said, perhaps we should strike now before they grow stronger. Vreskar shook his head. That would be a mistake, War Master. They do not seek conflict, but they are prepared for it in ways we cannot match. We have faced many species. Not like this one, Vreskar interrupted, a serious breach of protocol that caused gasps among the assembled Drakari. The humans have spent their entire history fighting each other. They have mastered the art of war through thousands of years of continuous practice. The War Master's scales flushed with anger. You suggest the Drakari should fear these humans? Suggest we should respect them, Vreskar answered, and leave them alone. The scene shifted to a human diplomatic facility. Lisa Harmon sat at a large table across from 2 Drakari representatives. One was Vreskar, now dressed in formal diplomatic attire rather than battle armor. The other was a female Drakari with iridescent blue scales. Ambassador Harmon, the female Drakari began. I am Siraval, Chief Diplomat of the Drakari Imperium. We have reviewed the incident at Epsilon Indi 4 and wish to formalize relations with Earth. Lisa's expression remained neutral. The incident you referred to resulted in the death of a human scientist. A regrettable action taken by an overzealous commander, Siraval said smoothly. One the Imperium officially condemns. Lisa glanced at Vreskar, who met her gaze steadily. Commander Vreskar has been reassigned to our diplomatic corps, Siraval continued. His experience with humans makes him valuable in his new role. I see, Lisa said. And what kind of relations does the Drakari Imperium envision with Earth? Peaceful ones, Siraval replied without hesitation. We propose a non-aggression treaty, followed by potential trade agreements. Lisa raised an eyebrow. This is a significant change in Drakari policy. Your people have never sought formal treaties with species you consider less advanced. Vreskar spoke for the first time. Perspectives change, Ambassador. Mine certainly has. The hologram shifted again, showing a montage of scenes. Drakari and human ships passing peacefully in space. Scientific teams from both species working together on a frontier world. A formal signing ceremony between human and Drakari leaders. Lisa's voice narrated over the images. In the 6 months since the Epsilon Indi incident, relations between humans and the Drakari have completely transformed. Not only have they ceased all aggression against human settlements, but they have become one of our strongest advocates in the unaligned regions of space. The footage returned to the council chamber, but from 6 months earlier. A Drakari representative, Vreskar, himself stood at the speaker's podium. The Drakari Imperium formally requests observer status on the Galactic Council, he announced. We recognize that our past actions have not aligned with Council principles. We seek to change that with the guidance of our human allies. The scene shifted to show Lisa Harmon in what appeared to be her private office. She looked directly at the camera. The Council needs to understand something important about humans, she said. We don't want conflict. We would prefer peaceful coexistence with all species. But our history has shaped us in ways that make us dangerous when threatened. She stood and walked to a large window overlooking Earth from orbit. The blue planet spun slowly below. For most of our history, humans fought each other, she continued. We developed weapons of mass destruction. We created viruses that could wipe out millions. We built machines designed solely to kill more efficiently. She touched the window. When we finally achieved peace among ourselves and looked to the stars, we discovered a galaxy of older, more established species. Most had evolved past warfare, centuries or millennia ago. They had technologies we could barely comprehend. In the council chamber, many representatives nodded in agreement. So we adapted, Lisa said. We presented ourselves as a young, somewhat primitive species still finding our way. And in many respects, that's true. But in others, she turned back to face the camera. In the areas of defense, weaponry, and tactical thinking, humans have advantages that come from our violent past. We have technologies we've kept hidden not out of malice but out of caution. The footage showed human scientists in a massive underground facility. They worked on devices that glowed with strange energies. Some manipulated what appeared to be gravity itself. Others programmed nanites smaller than dust particles. These technologies were developed in secret, Lisa explained, not to threaten the galactic community, but to ensure our survival in it. We are surrounded by species that could destroy us if they wished. We needed insurance. Back in her office, Lisa sat down again. The incident with the Drakari revealed some of our capabilities, not all of them, not even most of them, but enough to change how some species view us. She leaned toward the camera. That's why I'm here today. That's why I'm proposing that humans be added to the restricted species list, not because we pose an imminent danger to the galaxy, but because we recognize what we are capable of. The hologram froze on Lisa's face, her expression solemn and determined. In the real council chamber, Lisa Harmon looked up at the representatives. The silence was complete. There is one final section, she said quietly. May I continue? Grand Arbiter Vexcor nodded, his glowing veins pulsing slowly. Please, Ambassador, complete your presentation. The final part of the hologram began with Admiral Jack Harrison, addressing a closed session of Earth's United Government. The chamber was smaller than the galactic councils, but still impressive, with representatives from all major Earth nations, seated in a semicircle. The incident at Epsilon Indy 4 has changed our standing in the galaxy, Harrison said. Our response to the Drakari attack revealed capabilities we've kept hidden for decades. A woman in a blue suit stood up. Admiral, was this revelation intentional? No, President Rivera, Harrison replied. But once the decision was made to rescue our people, we had limited options. The Defiant used the least advanced technology necessary to complete the mission safely. Least advanced? Another representative asked incredulously. From what I understand, they deployed targeted nanite weapons and portable gravity manipulators. These are technologies most of the galaxy believes are still theoretical. Harrison nodded. Yes, and we have more advanced systems that remain classified. The chamber grew quiet. The question now, Harrison continued, is how we proceed. Several species have already reached out with new diplomatic overtures. Some appear interested in alliance, others in technology exchange. And the Drakari? President Rivera asked. They've proposed a non-aggression treaty. Their entire approach to us has changed. A thin man with gray hair raised his hand. Are we in danger of provoking fear among the older species? The Council, races might see us as a potential threat now. That's a valid concern, Secretary Wu, Harrison acknowledged, which is why Ambassador Harmon has suggested a bold move. The hologram showed Lisa entering the chamber. She carried the same calm confidence she displayed in the council chamber. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, for 50 years we've presented ourselves to the galaxy as a young, somewhat naive species still finding our footing among the stars. That image has served us well. It has kept us safe from those who might see us as competition or threat. Lisa walked to the center of the chamber. But that image is now compromised. The Drakari incident has revealed some of our true capabilities. While most species still don't know the full extent of our technological advancement, they now have reason to wonder what else we're hiding. What do you propose, Ambassador? President Rivera asked. A preemptive action, Lisa replied. I will petition the Galactic Council to add humans to the list of restricted species under Law 5962. Murmurs spread through the chamber. You want us to be classified alongside the Vaklath Horde? Secretary Wu asked in disbelief. They've destroyed entire star systems. The restricted list isn't just for aggressive species, Lisa explained. It's for any species the Council believes requires special protocols for interaction with the wider galaxy. By proposing this ourselves, we demonstrate responsibility and self-awareness. And what would these restrictions entail? President Rivera asked. Limits on our expansion beyond current territories, oversight of our military development, regular inspections of certain facilities. That sounds like giving up our sovereignty, a military officer objected. It's a trade-off, Lisa admitted. We give up some freedom of action in exchange for something more valuable: trust. We show the galaxy that humans understand our own destructive potential and want safeguards in place. The scene shifted back to the present in the Galactic Council chamber. The hologram showed Lisa making her final address to the Earth government. Our choice is simple, she said. We can continue to hide our true capabilities and be viewed with increasing suspicion, or we can acknowledge what we are and work within a system of mutual safeguards. She looked around the Earth chamber. We humans developed incredible technologies through centuries of conflict with ourselves. We turned our talent for destruction into tools that could benefit the entire galaxy. But that same talent makes us dangerous. The responsible path forward is to acknowledge that danger and accept reasonable limitations. The hologram faded, leaving only Lisa Harmon standing before the council. She looked up at the assembled representatives, all traces of their earlier laughter now gone. That concludes my evidence, she said quietly. The chamber remained silent for several long moments. Finally, Grand Arbiter Vexcor spoke. Ambassador Harmon, you have given us much to consider. Your proposal to add humans to the restricted species list is unexpected. Lisa nodded. We understand it's unusual for a species to request such status. Unprecedented, Vexcor corrected. In the Council's 18,000-year history, no species has ever asked to be restricted. From his seat, Councillor Zixtal rose to his feet. The Arathi, who had laughed the loudest at Lisa's proposal, now looked solemn. Grand Arbiter, he said, I wish to address the Council. Proceed, Councillor. Zixtal looked around the chamber. When Ambassador Harmon first proposed adding humans to the restricted list, I found it amusing. Humans are newcomers to the galactic stage, with a handful of colony worlds and seemingly basic technology. He paused. I was wrong. What we have seen today demonstrates that humans possess not only advanced capabilities but also something rarer: the wisdom to recognize their own destructive potential. Zixtal turned to face Lisa. The Arathi Confederation formally seconds the motion to add humans to the restricted species list under Law 5962. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Vexcor raised his hands for silence. This is a serious matter requiring full deliberation, the Arbiter said. We will recess for one standard day to consider the evidence and proposal. The next day, the Council reconvened. Representatives from all 500 member species filed into the chamber. The mood was solemn, with none of the laughter that had marked the previous session. Grand Arbiter Vexcor called the session to order. We have reviewed Ambassador Harmon's proposal and evidence. The Council will now vote on adding humans to the restricted species list under Law 5962. One by one, the representatives cast their votes. Lisa watched as the tally grew on the large display above the chamber. When the final vote was counted, the result was clear: unanimous approval. The motion passes, Vexcor announced. Humans are now subject to the human containment protocols under Law 5962. Ambassador Harmon, the Council recognizes and appreciates humanity's wisdom in requesting these restrictions. Lisa bowed slightly. Thank you, Arbiter. Earth will fully comply with all protocols. As the formal session ended, representatives began to file out of the chamber. Lisa gathered her materials, preparing to return to the Earth Embassy. Ambassador. She turned to find Grand Arbiter Vexcor standing nearby. The ancient Morvani had approached her privately. Yes, Arbiter? Vexcor's translucent skin pulsed with glowing veins as he studied her. I have served on this council for over 200 years. In that time I have seen many species rise and fall, some through conquest, others through cooperation. And where do you see humans in that spectrum? Lisa asked. That, Vexcor said, is what makes your species so interesting. Your potential points in all directions at once. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. If this is what humans can do as newcomers to the galactic stage, what will you be capable of in 1,000 years? Lisa smiled faintly. That's what scares us too. Vexcor nodded slowly. Then perhaps there is hope for us all. He turned to leave, then paused. The Council laughed at your proposal yesterday, Ambassador. No one is laughing today. Remember that lesson. I will, Lisa promised. As she watched the Grand Arbiter walk away, Lisa felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Humanity had taken its first step toward a new kind of relationship with the galaxy, not based on deception or dominance, but on honest acknowledgement of what they were. The species that had spent millennia perfecting the art of war was now using that knowledge to forge a lasting peace. And somewhere in deep space, a Drakari commander turned diplomat was telling others to be careful around the humans. Not because they were cruel or aggressive, but because when pushed, they were capable of anything. The galaxy would never laugh at humans again.